The agenda is sponsored by Newcastle County Government.
This week on the agenda, we're going to talk to Mr. William Chapman, a longtime friend and mentor of mine, about NOBLE and the POPA program. And it's going to be right here at the Delaware State University campus, and what they're going to do in the community as far as training law enforcement professionals early, giving them the pick, where law enforcement countries across the country can reach out and begin to pick people. Make sure that they're being the most qualified candidate, the most equitable candidate. We're going to talk about that and so much more right here on the agenda.
Kerwin Gaines, nice break.
It's a privilege and an honor for you to be on the agenda.
The privilege is all mine.
Now, let me tell you something. In Delaware, it's not even a front, right? In Delaware, there's 6 degrees of separation. Everyone knows someone. So you can't be on a show like this and say, did you have any prior knowledge of that person prior to coming on the show? I'm just going to come out flat and say, yes, you've known me since I was 20 years old.
I have.
All through. Have been a mentor like so many people that have come onto the show. And now, I mean, the cause that you are, I won't even say promoting, but creating is just awesome.
Well, society created that, the need for that cause.
Right.
And I appreciate all the kind words, but you know, you were someone that I saw a little bit in. Right. Fortunately, you allowed me to come along with you, and I'm happy to be here now.
I'll go for that right now.
Yeah,
I'll go for that. It's your shot, sir.
Okay. Ah, man, let's see.
So now, I mean, you are reaching back out to the community in a way that is necessary in so many ways. And some of it has started prior to Black Lives Matter, prior to, you know, the, I guess, civil uprising due to law enforcement interaction with the public. I mean, you have had a long career in law enforcement. Please tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, well, I joined the Delaware State Police in 1988. And by 96, myself and a couple other the troopers on the job recognized that the growth of minorities on the job had pretty much stayed stagnant.
Right.
And so we started paying attention to what is it that we can do to try to bring more people in to diversify this so that we can better communicate with the people that we police. I was an East Side guy. I worked on Newcastle Avenue.
But you grew up here in the city.
I grew up, I'm a hilltop boy by nature.
Okay.
That's where I was groomed. Family and friends on 6th and Franklin. I learned how to play basketball on 3rd and Clayton. Hot spots right now, and it was hot back then. And so and as a matter of fact, my older sisters, they're like 4 or 5 years older than me. They were part of that movement in the mid-70s, late 60s, mid-70s that brought police attention to our neighborhoods. So we had a lot of interaction with the police coming off of the civil rights movement and black nationalism. And so I got to see, I was protected by my older siblings, but at the same time, I got to see the world as it was and where we were at that point in life, which part of the reason that it attracted me to policing in the first place.
So this next chapter of the story of Mr. Chapman, you are working with the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about that organization.
Well, NOBLE was essentially created to help active police officers make it through the ranks so that they could become leadership in their prospective police departments.
Ensure that they weren't passed over.
Ensure that they weren't passed over, to prepare them to be available for promotion and everything in between. So initially it's about the betterment of the officers that are currently on the departments. But also there's a second phase of NOBLE that reaches out to community service. And we want to extend the life of policing. Policing was a very rewarding career for me, so we've been doing things to try to help people get on the job. We, I guess nationally, and I can't quote you any stats, but we have the lowest interest rate or interest in law enforcement.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, we have 3 counties. Yes. And in 3 counties, how many police departments do we have?
This is probably over 80 police
Over 80
departments
police departments for 3
Delaware.
counties, about 90 miles worth of state.
Yes.
But yet we are leading the country as far as interest of diverse candidacy to fill the roles for law enforcement?
Yes. As I stated earlier, it was about 8% of the Delaware State Police was diverse when I came on, and today it's still less than 10%. There have been some viable candidates, and for whatever reason, social issues, maybe some issues within the departments that people are applying for, but they're not getting the jobs at one point. At some point,
right,
they're either falling out of the process, they're being eliminated from the process, but they're not actually getting the job to walk across the stage and be badged as police officers.
So again, just to revisit the issue, I know that you're very DSP centric for obvious reasons, but is this systemic across other police agencies as well within the state?
This is a nationwide issue.
Okay.
Whether it's an urban police department such as Chicago or Philadelphia or Los Angeles, or a suburban police officer or a rural police department, the numbers probably fluctuate between 8 and 14% of any individual police department.
Okay.
And that goes for your 3-man departments and your 6,000-man or officer department. So part of what we're doing now is trying to figure out why these people who have expressed interest, who are trying to get this job, why aren't they getting the job? And that goes to, A, are they qualified? B, at what point are they being eliminated from the process that does not allow them to actually accept the appointment? And so that's what we're trying to do, to try to, police work is a calling, in my opinion, and police work is more about public service than it is about some of the things that we've seen recently on
The
TV.
people come first.
The people come first. And some departments and some officers will tell you, I'm not a servant, I'm a law enforcement. No, you're a servant. We're public servants. We work for the public. We try to make the lives of the citizens, the visitors to the state of Delaware, we try to make that experience better and their lives better, and that comes with majority is public service as opposed to actual law enforcement of laws.
So, I mean, I know, and while you were with the state police and afterwards, you did teach as an adjunct instructor.
I did.
And were very good at it, but now you've taken that a step further and working with Del State on an initiative.
Yes. One I'm obviously excited and proud about.
I'm happy. I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah. Well, we've created, again, I worked with after I retired, I worked the first year of COVID with the Delaware State Police in the personnel office. We all had similar goals. How can we diversify the police department? Why aren't the applicants who do apply, how come they're not getting hired? So I was part of the team that was looking into that, seeing how we can attract more diversity with the division. And once we attract them, how do we retain them? COVID hit, shut down a lot of our access to students, but at the same time, I had the pleasure to speak with former Newcastle County Public Safety Director Joseph Bryant. He's a former major of the Newcastle County Police Department, a former chief of the Delaware River and Bay Authority. And we discussed the possibilities, what could we do to try to make more viable applicants so that they could compete for these jobs. And so we came up with something we called the Police Preparatory Academy.
I like the sound of that.
POPA, that's what we call it. So with that particular title, we looked at what can we do with that population of people. Look, I want to be a police officer. Even with everything that's going on in the world, there's still a lot of diverse people who want to be part of public service. So what can we do to help get them on the job? We're not making police officers, we're making the best possible applicants. So when they apply for a particular police department, they should be ready to go. So there's less, it'll take away that stigma that says, I didn't get hired because of my race or my gender, whatever the case may be. Because if you go through our program, you'll be exposed to as much about policing as possible, but we're also going to have candid conversations about your lifestyle. Are you continually to experiment with street level drugs? Or do you have bad credit? Are you getting physically fit? Because physical fitness is huge in police work, because as you know, the stress and everything will wear you down, and only your physical fitness allows you to carry yourself through, especially a 27-year career like I had. Right. Of course, I'm not fit now.
I cannot point a stick at anyone.
So, the whole program is based on that. So can I go on about Del State? Okay, so we took a look at all the factors that were getting people eliminated through the process. And we said, what can we do? What stick can we come up with that's going to help make these people viable applicants? So we came up with an internship program, which is similar to a police academy. So the students...
While the students are enrolled at the university?
Yeah, they have to be enrolled at Delaware State University. Our initial cohort were sociology and criminal justice majors, but again, COVID hit us in the head,
right,
and we didn't have access to the students, so we did all this, we created all this through Zoom meetings and online, and with Dr. Boyton of Delaware State University, he was able to extract a group of students who wanted a different type of internship program. So they won't be making coffee, they won't be answering phones, they won't be making copies on the copy machine. They actually get police academy type training presented by certified police officers throughout the state of Delaware. And at the same time, they're getting job readiness training. We're looking at all those factors that's going to keep you, the Del State student, from getting that job. Once you decide, I want to be part of the Delaware State Police or Newcastle County or Wilmington. Wherever. We know there are certain standards that have to be met by everyone who applies, and that if you don't meet those standards, you're not going to get that job. So we're attacking those standards to make sure that those students are prepared to press send, submit that application. When they walk in for that interview, they will have some experience with being police officers. They can take that interview, and their background, which is huge in our hiring process. You know, you didn't graduate from Del State and celebrated by smoking marijuana and then applied. No, that's no-go.
Let DART do the driving. DART First State provides transportation that is clean, safe, reliable, and affordable. Plan your trip and get real-time bus information with the free DART Transit app. Scan your phone to pay your fare with the free DART Pass app. So what are you waiting for? Try transit today. Visit dartfirststate.com or call 1-800-652-DART.
Auto accident, medical negligence, work injury. Contact Team Tice, your Delaware personal injury lawyers. Leroy Tice in Wilmington, Delaware, serving and supporting the people of Delaware. Call 302-489-2400. That's 302-489-2400. Online at teamtice.com.
This message is brought to you by Newcastle County Government.
Many wonder, what is a variant? A variant is a mutation or a change in the genetic sequence of the virus. Some of our methods of treating COVID-19 become ineffective. If we were to simply get vaccinated, we could decrease the spread and the likelihood that a mutation would form in the first place. Let's get vaccinated.
To be honest, nothing can get done without funding.
Absolutely.
Your program is awesome. I see it changing the face of law enforcement from a diversity standpoint and a systemic nature throughout the country once it's exposed.
Okay.
I see you guys and I see your program uniting with other programs in universities and local community organizations throughout the country, moving forward to a point where it is a staple in the curriculum of criminal justice majors and sociology students throughout the country. I see that, but I also know how things go, right? So we have the agenda, which is a great program, if I do say so myself.
Thank you.
And I see that a lot of politicians watch this. I also know that we are blessed to have a president that is from here, that is from this town, that lives maybe 10 miles from here. So, I mean, people have the ear by watching this show. What would you tell those folks if you were sitting in their office in their leather-bound chairs, attesting to the program, the POPA program that you are facilitating? What would you say to them as far as funding and longevity?
The program itself is not to replace traditional recruitment for police departments, but it's another arm. police departments across the state spend thousands of dollars. They go to HBCU college fairs and they stand up and they hand up applications, but with no assurance that the application is coming from a student who may actually be a viable applicant. So we first want to get the students at Delaware State across all the curriculum to understand this is a viable internship program and it could lead to employment. So it costs uniforms. We do police academy type training. So we have equipment that we have to purchase, we have to maintain. The students have traveled from Delaware State to the Newcastle County Police Department where they did FATS training and driver simulation training. We've gone to the Newcastle County Police Academy, the Delaware State Police Academy, Delaware State Police Museum, transportation costs.
So you do have buy-in from other departments that are working?
Well, yes, the Delaware State Police and Newcastle County Police have been our savior at this point. Colonel Zebley, now Colonel Block, we used to be Colonel Bond, who's now the Director of Public Safety.
Both of them very forward-thinking colonels.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Colonel Zebley made the museum. Because of COVID, we couldn't get into the academy, but we have the Delaware State Police Museum, which acted as our home and our initial training facility. So we've had classes taught there. But to get back to your question, the Council on the Criminal Justice Council and the Newcastle County government, Matt Myers, they made the initial investment. We pitched the program to both the Criminal Justice Council, had some suggestions, along with Joe Bryant, made some adjustments. They gave us funding to get, that was the seed funding to get the program off the ground. Matt Myers saw the benefits, the possible benefits of the program. Newcastle County government gave us some seed money. But as you know, what we're trying to do is a 2-session per year.
Okay.
And so that would give us, hopefully—
Master semesters.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Now, each semester will be a different part. The ideal situation would be you come for your internship 1, and that will be what we just completed, and internship 2 would be another dive into policing and interviewing and all the things that they're going to need to get the job.
Okay, I see. Got you.
But then that creates another level of cost
Right.
and finance. So again, we had a reception, a police chief's reception on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, December the 8th. Great turnout from the police chiefs, but proof is in the pudding. We have to get bodies, we have to get students, we have to get a more diverse group of students so that we can then show that these students have completed this, they're ready to apply for a job, and then the measure is going to be whether they get jobs. And then once they get that point, I won't even say as far as jobs, can they get through the hiring process? Because ultimately, whether you get a job or not, it's going to stand where you stand as compared to other applicants. So what we want to do is make you the best applicant as possible. If you don't get hired because it was a better applicant, then that's life. But we want to make sure that we're presenting applicants who are viable for every police department.
Eliminating the excuses of why you cannot hire a qualified applicant.
That's just the way I would put it. Very good.
Eliminating the excuses of why you cannot hire a qualified applicant, and then when they're not hired, there has to be a justification portion. I'm just assuming as a taxpayer, okay?
Yes.
I'm reading the New York Times, I'm reading the News Journal, I read a lot of the nation's papers every week, and I'm seeing that there is a shortage on nurses, and there's a shortage on police officers.
Yes.
And both of those are critical.
Yes.
Critical to the human infrastructure of this country.
Yes.
So if we're turning them down on the mere basis that is hid behind, I don't know, subtleties, but we all know that it may be race, it may be color, it may be creed, and there's not an equal balance of that that's shared throughout the application process for all applicants. When does the justification start back on the administration side as to why these candidates weren't hired?
Well,
not saying it has to be punitive, but at least there has to be an explanation of why that happened.
and that's for you and the citizens of the state of Delaware to demand an answer.
Okay.
What we want to do is, again, present the departments, police departments, with the best possible applicant, Delaware State University will then be handling the tracking. We have taken a look at this student, we have worked with this student, we've molded these students, they've applied for departments X, Y, and Z. We think they're viable applicants for a job as a police officer. Delaware State will then track how far did that student get in the application process. Did that student get hired? Was that student not hired? Why was that student not hired? Now, all that, it's a combination of anecdotal and
I just think, Chapman, we have to get to that point of accountability.
And that's what it's, well, that's not the sole purpose of the program, but that's what we discuss in our meetings. We know they're viable candidates. I'm a Delaware State University graduate. There are multiple FBI agencies come from Delaware State, multiple state troopers, multiple city police, multiple county police. But our ultimate goal, you asked this question, we want Delaware State to be the hub. If you need police officers, take one of those Delaware State kids. They come out ready to go.
They've done it with pilots at Delaware State. The aviation program, beyond words.
Accountants. Delaware State produces a huge amount of accountants as well. So that's one of the things we've talked about. Well, how come Delaware State can't be the hub of policing or police candidates, police recruits in the state of Delaware? And that's our goal. And you know, you asked me about our long-term plans. First, we want Del State, because obviously this is the first session that we had. We want them to look at that, and we want to become part of their brochure. And when you bring your child down to Delaware State who's going to major in criminal justice, one of the things you're going to tell them, let's go talk to the people from POPA, because this is going to be something once your son or daughter is ready to get serious about their choice of career. These people will help make sure that they're ready to, once they leave Delaware State, they can go get a job. So we want to take that from the Delaware State level. We would love for Noble National to recognize the viability of this program and it become a national program for Noble. And then ultimately, because there's a critical need, as you pointed out, for law enforcement officers, there's no reason this couldn't be on every campus. But it has to start somewhere. So we're going to make Delaware State successful. It costs funding to do that. And again, the Criminal Justice Council and Newcastle County government, they've started their initial funding. We need equipment, we need clothes, we need things to help make this a good experience for the students.
Well, kudos to Newcastle County government for doing that.
Absolutely.
Kudos to them for taking it and seeing what this can be.
Yes. And Pat Ogden, who's the head of the chiefs of police, he's made all the chiefs available to us. He's allowed us to pitch the program to the chiefs. And I think as we show some results, I think more and more police departments will be receptive to this. Again, we've had probably 7 different police departments who act as instructors for our students, certified police instructors. They come in and they work an 8-hour day on a Saturday. And that's kudos for our students because, again, this isn't an internship where you make copies and you get coffee. Police information is very sensitive. So a viable police internship is tough.
Right.
But with our internship, they're doing shooting simulators, they're driving cars, they're use of force, DUI investigation, fatal crash investigations, interviewing suspects. They're getting all this. They come in every other Saturday from 9 until 4. And who does that as a college student on a Saturday?
It's not often.
No, when I was at Del State, the 5 years it took me to complete it, I thought Saturday started at noon. So
on Thursday.
That
was me on Thursday.
Yeah, so to have these students, if I have them to come out every other Saturday and work the full day. And one of the students said something to me. We were talking to them about the viability of the program, that we wanted them to be, you're the best voice for the program to get additional students. And she was saying, well, this is the only class that I've attended every class.
Thank you for your honesty.
Yeah, and we had 90% attendance. There were some students who either had work conflicts or other conflicts, but it was well over 90%. Students didn't miss. They came on time. They worked the entire day. No excuses. So that told me that the subject matter they found interesting. The instructors, the certified police instructors, they were interesting. So to keep that program going, we need to buy in from the police departments. We need to continue or getting some funding so that we can make it work. And we just need to produce students on the other end that shows that this is a viable program.
So I'm not going to tell you I wish your program is successful. I'm not going to tell you, oh, you know, I hope this gets off the ground. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to tell you that, because it is already successful from the work that you have done thus far and the work that your organization has done thus far, from Noble all the way down. You have just, it's awesome. And anything that we can do here at DETV to support that, we will. Anything that the agenda can do, you have our support, we will support that, we will. Kudos to Matt Meyer, the county executive, for assisting here, and as well as Mr. Chief Ogden is going through and assisting and opening doors, and all the other representatives and affiliates that have helped your organization. Kudos to you. You will be successful and you will do well.
This is a lot. Thank you.
It's true. But more than anything, we're still fighting COVID in our communities.
Yes.
Wilmington is no different than any other community, and that's where we are now. So what would you, are you vaccinated, sir, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm vaccinated, boosted, and if they said take a fourth, I'd probably be the first person in line.
First, not the only one, my friend. And I told an interesting story, I think, to you off camera, is that, you know, I got my booster this week at the Super G.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where.
No.
The vaccine is the same. I just happened to pick up dinner while I was there as well. But I have that. But in talking to a lot of people, especially on this show, there's a lot of misinformation. There is a lot of, I don't know, excuses. What would you tell to someone that is on the fence, not knowing about the vaccination or whether or not to have it done? What would you tell them?
Well, if I could tell a short story.
Shoot.
Active duty state trooper, I believe it was in 2008, maybe a little bit earlier. I'd never had a flu shot. Then I got the flu. I was knocked out for 8 days. And for a police officer on patrol to miss 8 days of work, not only is it bad for the citizens, it's bad for the shift, because now they're working one man short. I haven't missed a flu shot since. I will tell you, I don't need to experience COVID to convince me to take a COVID shot. What I experienced with the flu told me don't miss a vaccination, and I feel the same way. I've been blessed. I haven't had anyone directly related to me affected by it, but I know there's over 600,000 people who are no longer on this earth because of COVID. Take your COVID shot.
Right.
That's, I don't know if I could say it any clearer, but that's my position.
I think you've nailed it. And we say it here on the agenda, and I say it every week. If you can't do it for yourself, do it for your loved one. And if you can't do it for a loved one, do it for someone you don't even know. Regardless, get the shot. It's safe. Misinformation is just that, misinformation.
Exactly.
Mr. Chapman, thank you for being here on the agenda this week. We hope it's not the last time.
I hope not either. Thank you very much. The program thanks you, because our students, if they'll love to see this and love to know that their program made your program.
Next time you're going to bring a student on.
Oh, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman, for joining us here on the agenda. We know that the POPA program will be nothing more than a success. We look forward to Delaware State and the POPA program being a program of choice for law enforcement agencies all throughout the country, as well as being a model for other states and showing them that, you know, law enforcement professionals are important, and choosing the right one is just as important. We look forward to seeing you next week on the agenda.